you see the title. And again, it's going to be a longer video, story time with EVG, but I figured at the end of it I can give some type of life lesson and some type of advice that I've used to go through this tough time in my life. Long story short, I was living with my grandmother, my sister, my father, my mother, and myself. It was 5 in a house in the old house I was living in. The old videos I made in the basement were from my old house. Now, my grandmother was deteriorating in health. I had to make sure she was eating and make sure she would go to the doctor whenever she could, but she wouldn't go to the doctor. So I just had to make sure she was eating and just check up on her to make sure she was okay. She went to a wedding with my aunt about this time last year. And while she was at the wedding, my aunt was texting me about how in poor health she is, like trying to accuse me of doing something wrong. And again, I would constantly say she wouldn't go to the doctor. I don't have a car, so I can't force drive for myself. So after the wedding, my aunt takes her directly to the hospital in the emergency room. There, they said that she had to have some type of procedure to get something put in her. So I went there with my father and my mother, and we just were checking up on her to make sure she was okay, and she was fine. So after she had the procedure done, she went to a rehab facility where she spent about 2 or 3 weeks. Again, not too sure. Since my aunt doesn't work and I don't know the whole story, frankly, don't need to get into it, she was spending the majority of her time with my grandmother. And all four of us, my mother, my father, my sister, and myself, we work or I do my own thing, so I wasn't there at the time. We would visit, but not 24/7. One day we went to see my grandmother. It was my mother and myself, and my aunt was there. My aunt and my mother don't get along. There's a sibling thing, and they are how do you say estranged. They're estranged siblings. And during then, my grandmother wouldn't look at my mom or me in the eye at all, and that struck us as odd because just because our aunt is there, you're not going to look us in the eye. So we find out later, months later, that she signed over power of attorney to my aunt and signed a lot of stuff over to my aunt. So my aunt's in my humble opinion, my personal opinion, she's a very litigious, very greedy person she's playing life like it's Monopoly, basically. She likes to collect things and doesn't care about how other people are affected by it. She just is greedy. She hoards things. So that happened. Now, instead of coming back home while we were cleaning up, because my grandmother's a hoarder herself, it was a disaster, that house. That's why I didn't show you any other area but the basement, because that's where I was most of the time with my gym equipment. She hoarded crap. It was infested. It was disgusting, and we were constantly cleaning. Well, my mother mostly. Constantly cleaning, making sure it was okay to her. Instead of moving back into the house that we all lived, she moved in with my aunt. And there, we were still cleaning because we were thinking, oh good, she's gonna come back. I get a text from my aunt saying that she wants people to come into the house and grab certain things of my grandmother's and bring them back to her house. And as part owner of the house that has rights to the house, I did not want anybody outside of the family to see the house in that fashion. It was disgusting. I was embarrassed. No one outside the family is going to see it. If you wanted stuff for my grandmother, just give me a list and I'll bring it up to you. She didn't like that. She didn't like me saying no to her, so funny how that happens. 2 days later, I get a call from a restricted number saying it's the police. Could you please step outside? And there I get a restraining order suggesting that I have to not be in the house. I literally got an order of protection from my grandmother. Funny how you mentioned that. Funny how that happens, right? And it says that that I attempted assault on my grandmother, that I was stealing from her, that I was bullying her. All this terrible, terrible crap. And funny how, if that was any of that true, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Anybody that ever knows me knows that would the person that they were accusing of all this stuff is a completely different person from who I am as I am. So things happen. I missed the court date by accident. My family and I missed the court date by accident. And I had to get out of the house. Stupid on my part. How do I fucking miss the court date? We missed it by a day. It was on a Tuesday, we showed up on a Wednesday. How fucking retarded are we? But I had to get out of the house. I couldn't see my family. I couldn't see my grandmother. And I was homeless. I was homeless for about a month. I was living on my friend's sofa in his basement. And to even think about that today is amazing. How I can be homeless. And they played because the next court date was set for 2 weeks later. So I was like, okay, fine. I have to live with my friend for 2 weeks. Even though I'm homeless, I can manage 2 weeks. They said my grandmother was sick. So they set the court date back another 2 weeks. So I was homeless for about a month. And the day before the court date was about to go underway, they drop it. They dropped the case. Funny how the system can fuck you, right? They knew that it was going to get dropped because none of it was true. But they didn't want me to have that power. They dropped it before a judge could drop it for me. So there, I get texts later from my aunt saying, texting me like nothing happened, right? Threatening me to sign over the rights to the house to my grandmother and her because they want to sell it. That's the whole point of this game, right? Extortion. They were extorting me and trying to make me sign over something via threat of lawsuit or another restraining order. This is what the whole game was, about money. And I said no, and there's a whole nother story about going through that crap. But during this time, my parents and my sister were looking for a house, and we found the house, and now we're out of it. And life hasn't been better since I got out of the hellhole that I was living in. So what's the moral of the story, Eric? Why are you telling this to me? Why are you talking about this? This was a very trying time in my life. One of the toughest things I've ever gone through. Having my own grandmother and my own aunt conspire against my family and me to get money out of me and to get money out of us. It was disgusting and it's pure evil. When you deal with things that put you at a crossroads in your life, there are two ways you can go. Either in a positive direction or let it take you down with it. Me personally, I was not gonna allow my evil aunt and my troubled grandmother to bring me down into the pit of despair they're in, where they think money is going to make them happy. I was not going to allow them to do that. They might have kicked me out of my own house. They might have made me homeless for a month, but they're sure as hell not going to take away my pride, my dignity, and my values. They weren't doing that. They might have won in that aspect to get me out of the house, but they're not going to win this. This is the battle they will always lose. So, never let any situation like this affect your being as a person. Because if you take it the right way and you learn from this experience, it will make you a better person. I can safely say that this traumatic experience of being homeless has made me such a better person. I wish I didn't go through it, but I'm glad I went through it, because ever since then, my life has been amazing. I've learned to appreciate things. And the more I appreciate, it tends to be the more I get in return. So that's it, guys. Appreciate the little things, learn from your experiences, and grow from them. Because at the time, what might seem like a traumatic and you don't know how you're going to get out of it experience, in hindsight, it's going to look like one of the best things that could ever happen to you. Trust me. If you're going through something right now, it will get better. And it will make you a better person. Hope you stayed for this video this long. The All Mary Journey. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. New videos every week. Peace out, guys.